Team Europe's loving this, by the way. They're like, oh, these guys are ripping each other apart, these Americans. We can't have that.
Guys, what's going to happen at Bethpage? What's going to happen at Bethpage? Because I think this was a little bit of a preview.
Foreplay, presented by Barstool Sports. We got much to get to. We've got a massive Tiger Woods drop and news, and yours truly is going to be live. I'm in Los Angeles, California. I'll be at that event, going to respond to it. We've got Mr. Zach Johnson, who's got close ties to our dear friend Trent Ryan, who's all over the golf world news on Sunday morning in a way that was tied to a lot of other storylines in the golf world about the WM Phoenix Open in Scottsdale this last week. Every year, you could probably go back and find similar takes, similar responses from all of us. I think there's a whole, is this the year that it was too much sort of campaign going on the internet that we're going to discuss. We have the Super Bowl. We had the Good event last Wednesday that we haven't really debriefed yet from, but we got the entire squadron here. I think Dan just had to step out for a minute or two. Let's begin with, while it's freshest, the Super Bowl. I would like to say with our brand new friends, the DraftKings Sportsbook, hashtag DK partner. I was on the Chiefs last night. I felt horrible about it the entire night. I thought they're getting absolutely steamrolled. I don't know the most about football, but in all the parts about the game where it's really just winning on the offensive line and defensive line, they weren't doing that. It's like, we're going to need some special teams miracles. They weren't really doing that. And then all of a sudden, the reason that I bet on them, Patrick Mahomes, is just Patrick Mahomes. Same fucking reason that I've bet Tiger Woods is just Tiger Woods for the last 20 years. Exact same scenario. And sure enough, he delivered. So big thanks to our partner DraftKings and to the Kansas City Chiefs, because last night I never, ever, ever felt good until they threw that touchdown in overtime with the clock running out and nobody knew what the hell that meant. And it was awesome. So big thanks to DraftKings.
Yeah, an incredible time right now. There's a lot going on. Shout out to DraftKings Sportsbook, hashtag DK partner, Dave Portnoy. They're going to write books about this man. I'm telling you, like, we sat in school and learned about the most nonsensical figures in history. I went through class after class being like, why is this going to apply to my life? There has to be a class on Dave Portnoy and how he's navigated the last 2 decades of the internet. It's absolutely out of control. He might just write the book. You know what I mean? Like, if the history books aren't going to write about him, he's going to have to write the book, because what he's done the last 6 months alone is out of control. We're back with DraftKings. Time is a flat circle. It's an amazing business idea, and just the way that he's able to do it is incredible. So happy for that. I was on the Chiefs as well, and it was a roller coaster. You just that was my big play. Like, I had one big play and everything else was kind of sprinkled in, and I was just like, I felt so bad about everything the whole night because there was no touchdowns. Everyone had a million different touchdown combinations and all of these, Travis Kelce yard props and everything, and nothing was hitting. Like, it was 10-3. It was 13-10. Like, there were no touchdowns. And all of a sudden you're like, I think this guy's going to win this game. The overtime stuff I want to get into. I just think that Shanahan completely blew that game by not deferring that coin toss and taking the defense out on the field and not taking the ball at first, because you're getting, so if you're looking at all of the options to possibly win, they said the only way you could win on the first possession drive is if there was a defensive touchdown. So If you're on defense, you quite literally are the only way of winning the game. If the offense scores a touchdown, the other team still gets a chance. And they have to go for 1. You're not going to go for 2. That would be insane. So now, if you're on defense, you can quite literally end the game with a defensive touchdown. So that right there, your probability goes up of winning. Then if the other team scores a touchdown and now you have you can reciprocate with another touchdown, you also have now the ability to go for 2 and win the game. You know what I mean?
The only thing is, if they trade scores, then isn't it sudden death and you have the ball first if you went first?
You're bouncing across like 7 different things to get there. You know what I mean? I'm just talking about probability of like each option. The first 3 things that come my way, the guy who's on defense first has the better chance of winning.
I would also just prefer to know what I need. That would be
and
way
you get
better.
4 downs. You get 4 downs.
Yeah.
If that team goes up 3 or 7, you now have 4 downs to move down the field. And you're giving Mahomes 4 down territory from the 20.
It was a wild series of events that had to get to this awkward situation, which it was awkward. The fact that they're like, hey guys, at the beginning of overtime to the audience that Nance is trying to, they're like, hey guys, we've never played by these overtime rules in the history of the NFL. So here's kind of what they are. And they're trying to comb through them. And now the quotes are coming out. Like a couple of the Niners players were like, yeah, like we didn't even really know. We totally forgotten, or it just wasn't on our radar. While the Chiefs guys are coming out being like, we've been talking about it every single week. And I get that, like, you need to know the rules and all of that, but the fact that it was the first time that they've ever gone to that and that they didn't quite know. And I think the Niners, by choosing to take the ball, were just, and some of their quotes were like, yeah, we were thinking if we just score here, they kind of get a chance, right? And they were like, but if we score a touchdown, they don't. And then they were kind of like, no, I think they do. So they're on the fucking sidelines trying to win the Super Bowl, and they don't 100% know. That's a little bit just unlucky, but not for the Niners players. You should always know the rules, all that. But just by the situation that's the first time a game has ever gone to that, and they only use those overtime rules in the playoffs. And they haven't had a playoff game, and here we are in the Super Bowl. It's the second overtime game in Super Bowl history, and here they are playing by these rules. That was just absolutely wild, and it was weird when the clock was ticking down, because you're like, what's the point in having a clock if it doesn't matter?
Dude, when the Niners drive took 8 minutes and then the Chiefs get the ball and they're kind of bleeding the clock, or the plays that they're running are having the clock run, I was so stressed out on that with that Chiefs drive, because I was like, what does the clock mean? If the clock hits 0 and they have not entered the end zone yet, but they still have possession of the ball, what happens? And I guess it just ends up going to a second overtime. Just get rid of the clock. The clock means absolutely nothing in that scenario.
Well, I saw some PFT commenters say that it's like you're giving them a chance to kind of rest. It's another quarter. So like if it goes down to 0, you flip the sides of the field just like you would in like the first going into the second quarter, and it gives those players time to rest. They've never played in a game where it would be like 30 minutes of nonstop running clock. So like I feel like it is changing the game a little bit too much, where you're like, you're never getting off the field, you're never getting that second to get your water break to change the sides of the field. I kind of get that.
It's also crazy to have the rules for the most important game of the year be different than regular season games. Like, why not just implement it all the way through so everybody knows what's going on? If you're changing the rules for that game, the most important one, have it across the board so you don't have like the Niners players in the Super Bowl saying, we didn't really know the rules. That's egregious.
And it was also worse because the Chiefs guys did know that, like, it was bad for them not to know the rules. It was doubly bad because the Chiefs players went out of their way to be like, oh, we talked about this every week. You know what I mean? I think there was a guy, Justin Reed, I think it was, or maybe I'm getting his name wrong. He goes, yeah, we talked about this literally every week of the playoffs. We're like, here's the rules. We know what we're going to do. That made
every other
extra
sport,
bad.
I think, has a different playoff rule in overtime, except for maybe NBA. NHL, it's 3-on-3 overtime during the regular season, and then it goes to a shootout. In the playoffs, it's nonstop, just golden goal. You can go 9 overtimes, and you have to find a winner. In baseball, they start with the runner on second base during the regular season in extra innings, and then during the playoffs, they just play it regular, and then there's no.
I think
extra.
there being a difference between
football,
in every sport. I think it's stupid.
I like it. Well, I don't like it during the regular season. I agree with you, but I like that there is like a definitive playoff version of it, and it's the most like best team wins rule. You know what I mean? During the regular season, I kind of get you're trying to preserve guys. Like they're playing 162 games in baseball. They don't want baseball games going to 17 innings, so they try and get the games to be over. Same with hockey. They don't want these guys skating 82 games. And then an overtime game could happen where it goes to 6 overtimes on February 2nd. And you're like, this team's playing tomorrow in Winnipeg. Like, how the hell are they supposed to fucking do that? They just played an 11-hour game. That's never going to happen in the regular season. So I do get the reasoning. But in playoffs, you have to say, like, best team wins. And in football, I think they got it right, where it's like, if you score a touchdown, the other team has a chance to score a touchdown, and best team wins. You're going to go after this team, and that's it. I actually like it.
I was on the Chiefs, too, so I'm happy. I'm happy.
And at the end of the day, you go back for it's like if the Niners just went down and scored like a touchdown, then they're in better shape. Like if they, and if like that's pretty much what it comes down to. It's like our good friend Tiger Woods, who we'll probably see tonight, who it's like winning just takes care of everything. If you just do like the best part, of the game better than the other guys, you'll win no matter what the fucking rules of the game are. It's always going to kind of come down to that, but it is like the Justin Reed quote. We've talked about it all year. We talked about it in training camp and about how the rules were different regular season versus the playoffs. Every week of the playoffs, we talked about the overtime rule. And then you had Armstead for the Niners. I didn't even know about the new playoff overtime rule, so it was a surprise to me. They put it on the scoreboard. Everyone was like, oh, even if you score, they still get a chance to score. So they're like trying to figure it out while you're also in the nerves of the Super Bowl. You're also the Niners thinking you should have won this game 15 times. Like, how the hell are we here? Oh, we got the ball first. Oh, we're looking pretty good. And then all of a sudden you're trying to remember the rules. And next thing you know, Mahomes just wins the fucking Super Bowl. So it was a heartbreaker for Niners fans. I would have been on the other side of this thing. That would have been a tough one to take just because it's like, dude, these fucking guys did about everything they could. I felt like Mahomes the whole game, and I know Romo's annoying to a lot of people, but he was breaking it down beautifully with whichever that rusher was who just would never let Mahomes get outside. And that I feel like we watched that play happen 25 times where you're like, oh, the Niners have nobody's open in the secondary. They're not letting Mahomes run. How are they doing that to maybe the second best player in the history of the league? These guys are unbelievable. And then they still didn't win the game. So I don't know how much more you could do as the Niners, but I thought it was a great Super Bowl. I know it was looking like a dud. It felt like maybe after the halftime show, people were pretty fired up about the halftime show, no matter which way you were on the take. And then you sort of have a letdown. The Chiefs came out, didn't look that great. And about late in the third quarter, everyone's like, oh, this game's just not going to be that sweet. And then for the next hour and a half or 2 hours, it was fucking awesome. So I thought the Super Bowl delivered. I thought the halftime show, even for somebody who's not necessarily obsessed with all the artists that were up there, I thought it was an absolute banger of a halftime show. So I thought it was a great Super Bowl overall.
I was obsessed with those artists when they were hot and new, and I thought it was one of the greatest halftime performances I've ever seen. Usher, Ludacris, Alicia Keys. I'm in love with Alicia Keys. My Boo is such a good song. You know, you never know what you're going to get with a halftime show. I've liked the last couple because it was Usher, and then a couple years ago it was, Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, who I love. So having the artist from my generation that I grew up loving, and Usher very much fits into that. I thought he crushed, man.
Yeah, we're the target demographic. Justin Timberlake ruined it for our generation for about 15 years when he ripped off Janet Jackson's. You could see her tit on live television. Yeah. They went away from our generation for like 15 years, and then they went back to it. I think The Weeknd might have been the first one where it was kind of aimed at the younger people. I had 15 people over. Everyone was like bobbing their head and making noise. It was a very popular halftime show.
I thought it was
the roller skating was out of control. Being able to do that and like the way he was skating I actually thought like the cinematography of the halftime show was really cool. In the beginning, you're like, this guy's just on the 50-yard line, like he's just like dancing on the football field, and then you're like, does he have a stage? And 10 minutes later, he's skating around. Like it was insane. I thought it was really good. It's definitely not for everyone. I mean, R&B is like I don't know, half the time you're listening to it like when you break up with a girl, or if you're like trying to like have sex at night. Like it's not really like, like My Boo.
It was a lot of sex music.
He was like,
it was a lot of sex music.
He was like, I mean, it's like he wasn't actually, but he was basically fucking Alicia Keys on the stage. It was like insane.
Swizz
so
Beatz.
Like,
you got to think Swizz Beatz wasn't happy about that.
Well, it's just like, this is the Super Bowl. Like, let's, Lady Gaga jumped from the fucking roof a couple years ago. They're having sex on the stage. So I liked that part. That was cool.
I loved it.
But yeah, it's definitely not for everyone. I could see some of the older people being like, what is this? Like, what is happening?
Good.
Can't we get like Journey up there or something? Yeah.
Fuck yeah, Usher, man. Great halftime show.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought the skating on roller skates, by the way, is really fucking hard to do. Like roller blades is kind of relatively easy if you skated before. Those like quad roller skates, the OGs, are a totally different animal. And skating on those things,
dude, I was going like sideways.
Dude, really I wouldn't get on roller skates in front of you guys. I wouldn't, if we were doing something, I wouldn't get out there. He did it at the Super Bowl in front of 100 million people. Imagine falling and being like, that's Usher's reputation now. Remember when he fell on roller skates during the Super Bowl? And to have the balls to do that and pull it off, incredible.
It was great. It was great. Great night. Great night to, have a DraftKings account and to be out there cranking on the Kansas City Chiefs. So shout out to #DK partner. Might be seeing a little bit of that coming through. And shout out to Dave. Shout out to the Chiefs. Great night overall. We are excited to officially announce our partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. DraftKings will be our one-stop shop for all things betting. This week, new customers who deposit $5 or more can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000 on any sport. What exactly is a no-sweat bet, everybody?
It's, a no sweat bet's similar to like a mulligan. We're a golf podcast. We do a lot of different golf videos, and we have mulligans from time to time. And a no sweat bet's like a mulligan. You take the shot, you miss the shot, you get another one back. You get another chance at it.
You can also follow with all your favorite Barstool personalities betting on by joining the Barstool betting group on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. So make sure you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use the code FORE, that is FORE. New customers can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000 if your first bet loses. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code FORE. The crown is yours. Good event. So, congratulations, Dan Rappaport. You had a fantastic showing. Willie Wilcox, solo second. Where were you guys, one shot back at the end of it?
Yeah, we were one shot back. We made the dumbest bogey ever in the world. We 3-putted in a scramble, and then we birdied our last 5 holes. And for people who say, oh, you played with a tour pro, I want you to watch the video that I believe is coming out on the podcast channel. From what I gather, we're going to start putting some videos on the pod channel as like a secondary channel. You just watch the first 6 holes, and you let me know what you think.
You played well, though.
I played really well.
Nice.
Yeah, no, played really well. It was a good event. Obviously, good just keeps like stunning us each time that we do something with them. We know that they're huge, and then like you show up or we put out a video with them, and it's just bigger than you ever thought, you ever imagined. They had like 2,500 people there. The first tee vibes were insane. Trent hit the green on the first tee. It was unbelievable. I hadn't hit a golf ball in like 2 months leading up to that. A lot of our videos we've had in the bank. So it's like we've been showing a lot of golf on the channel, but we really haven't been hitting golf balls. So having to step up there, me and Trent, ice cold, figurative, like actually ice cold. And then we also hadn't hit golf balls in forever. I mean, you're talking possible like hospital runs for the people in the crowd. They were lining the fairway on a par 3 with Trent had a 7-iron in his hand, which I've seen him hosel rocket 8-iron. I've seen him just hosel balls low right, like missiles. Dude, and it was a miracle.
I would say in terms of nervousness, and this is going to sound a little crazy, I would put Tiger 1A and the good first tee 1B because of what Frankie's saying. The Tiger video is nerve-wracking because it's Tiger Woods, and we're finally filming a video with him, and he's touching my kneecap, and he's trying to teach me how to get my swing better. The good first tee, there were so many people that I thought I was going to injure. That level of nervousness is not like anything we've ever done because when we film a video and hundreds of thousands of people watch it, I'm less nervous about that because those people aren't there in person when you're doing it. But when there's people lining the right side of the fairway, and like Frankie is saying, I've been known, I don't know where this ball is going. That's kind of the part of the appeal of my journey. We're trying to figure out where this ball is going, but largely we don't know where this thing is going. And having that level of nervousness like I described, I was just like, let's get this thing in the air, and luckily I put a good swing on it. And it ended up 5 feet from the hole.
You put a really good swing on it.
Bro.
You put a really good swing on it. Don't sell yourself short. Did you think about watching it land, or did you know that if you peered it, you were just going to turn around and pimp it?
I blacked out. I don't know why I turned around. I don't know why I didn't watch where the ball was going to land. I knew it. I had the right club, and I hit it well enough, and I just wanted to get it in the air. And the fact that it ended up 5 feet from the hole was just a cherry on top. I was just happy that it got in the air, that I didn't chunk it, that I didn't, just puke on the golf ball. Like, there were so many different scenarios that weren't me putting it to 5 feet that I was just like, let's just get this thing in the air. So the fact that it ended up where it did was huge.
You hit this, like, sometimes, too, you could skank one and get away with it, or, you could kind of thin one and it checks and we all act like it was great. You hit this high towering wedge that cut like a yard and started right at the flag and ended up to 5 feet. And your reaction was one, like when Tiger hits a 3-wood stinger where like he just knows it's going in the fairway. So he stops watching it, picks up his tee, and you just knew like I had done the thing. Like I didn't murder somebody. I'm not going to prison. This clip is going to be a good one. And you turned around and just reacted so purely. I was very confused by your guys' game because trying to do, I was with like the last group, so I didn't really see your guys' group, but I kept seeing on social all these clips, you guys it looked like Frankie was holing putts from downtown like he's Nick Taylor at the Phoenix Open. And then I kept looking. I was like, these guys got to be 15 under par. What's going on here?
We had two moments. The tee shot on one was obviously great, and it did crazy on social. And then the third hole, Frankie hits this putt, and it's a Ryder Cup roar. I'll say it. It felt like we were at the Ryder Cup. I mean, Frankie can describe it better than me because he's the one who hit the putt, but I felt like I was in the Ryder Cup.
Well, yeah, there's like a stadium crowd behind us. There was so many people on that green. So Trent had an amazing first hole, but there were 14 more holes after that. I think all of Trent's power and energy went with that ball onto the first green and then just stayed there. We had 13 more holes. It was a nightmare out there, fellas.
No, we had a couple of good holes from there. It was
a nightmare. We made four birdies. We finished finished one over. We made 5 bogeys with 5 3 putts as a duo in a scramble. It's as bad as anyone has ever played on the greens ever. I mean, I'm talking, we were like de-greening from 15 feet away on Trent's first putt, and then I would like hit one 10 feet short and look at him and be like, you've got me on Mars right now. Like I've had and then at night, the depth perception of putting is insanely difficult. So like, I don't know how Danny ended up going on that big run towards the end because like you can't see how far balls are rolling out. You really can't get a feel for like, if you're 15 feet putting, you have no idea if that's fast, if it's slow. It's very hard. The shadows are everywhere. So that was something to deal with. But the putt, we just like randomly made a bunch of long putts. I don't think I've made a long putt in a video in like a year. And I had 3 go in. One off the green was a birdie, and then the last hole we had to make the par because like we missed the green, and then like we had a horrible putt up, and it's just like whenever we were in front of people, we both did. I put mine like 5 feet on. Whenever we had a big moment in front of a big crowd, we did something. That was like the coolest part. Like that's like that was huge for us. Aside from like I feel like we hit the good like whole entire tournament from so many different angles. Dan and Willie almost won the thing. We had a bunch of moments in front of the biggest crowds that were out there. Like we like did the thing that got the roars, and then Riggs and Francis were without a doubt the takeaway from all of the good fans seems to be that they were like the stars of the entire thing. Obviously there was legitimate commentators and there was legitimate really good golfers, but I think the thing you take away from like such a long stream is like the little comments here and there. You guys are on the screen the most. You have the most time basically with a mic in your hand. So I feel like that was a lot of pressure to come away likable and like funny and not like overtaking their thing. And I think if you read like the good Reddit, it was like they're like, I don't know how that event would have went on without Francis and Riggs. Like that's like the main takeaway.
Yeah, it was really an intense amount of fun when we started making that run toward the end. Willie started really flushing it. The last hole, he hit 7-iron to 14 inches. It was the coolest feeling of all time. I was like, you can just go putt that in, Willie. I'm just going to sit back here and enjoy. We also had Big Lot on our bag. The guy from Real Golf that I can't say. The guy who's like, yeah, he was so funny. I hit like 3 good shots to start out. He goes, damn, Dan Clappaport. And he started calling me Dan Clappaport the rest of the night. And I was dying.
He goes, we're going for a Parmesan. I watch every single one of that.
No cheeks left behind. No cheeks left behind. Yeah.
It was insanely fun doing the entire thing. It reminded me a lot after the first half hour and the nerves kind of wearing off of doing the Corn Ferry Tour broadcast, where like going in, you are like, to Frankie's point, you don't really know if you can do this, and okay, I'm going to try to like add value, but you don't want to overtake the whole thing. And then pretty quickly it was like, this is actually just really fun. It's fun talking golf. It's fun going back and forth with Francis. I know George Savaricas quite a bit. So it was like, once you kind of get that rapport going, it was just fun to call golf, be a part of it. I can't believe how many fans were there. The fact that they had 2,500, 3,000, whatever it was, fans all around, and it seemed like all on the first tee at the same time when you guys were teeing off. I think that was a little bit of a moment for golf of, hey, like there's a lot of back and forth about LIV, about the tour. We bicker about how long can we take all these reports about this millionaire making more now on the tour and that millionaire going here, when in reality, this is a participation sport. This is a game that's incredibly different than football or basketball or whatever, where again, everybody watching the Super Bowl last night, they don't go out and play football on the weekends with their buddies. The people that are pretty into golf are generally playing the game. They're buying the new equipment. They're working. And this was just such a cool hybrid of all of that. The fact that people showed out. I think there was 105,000 people watching on YouTube concurrently at one point.
Dude, I'll say this.
I mean, how many people watch Live? Like,
I was going to say,
like, right.
Not that many.
There's been a lot of talk about
25,000 this week. It is on the CW, but it's still that's not a comparable.
There's been a lot of talk the last couple of years about these two tours. Big boys better watch out for the YouTube golf tour, because if we can get that many people watching, you can get that many people in person, you can get that many clips, you can get guys like Riggs, guys like Francis, guys like Savaricas, Blair O'Neal's out there. Like, this is, you got to watch out, because there's all it needs is an audience, and it clearly has a fucking audience.
I want them to do another one. Obviously, I mean, the first thing I texted Good after, I texted Colin and Max. Also, shout out to them. They're just two guys in the production of Good. I'm sure there's a lot more people behind the scenes, but I know those guys were very excited about Colin in particular. If you follow him on social and on YouTube, he's always been fixated with this like new version of live golf, and he is always trying to push the envelope of like where they can take golf and how they can make it different. Good's always been really good at that. Their job is YouTube. They're always trying to make sure how can they make it better. They're now doing live YouTube videos that look like they're edited like their other good videos. It's amazing. So shout out to those guys. But I said to them, like, we need a tour and get all the big heads together. The Bob Does Sports is the Fore Place, the Goods. Let's come up with a tour, and like sponsors come in it. We have our own stop. Bob has his own stop. We go from city to city. That thing would work. I'm giving away ideas here, but the only people that can work on the ideas is us. So it's okay. I do want to say, I want another crack at this thing. I think me and Trent could do some damage out there. I'm telling you, we're a good team. We just like we're ice cold. Like, we were hitting some good shots. I'm telling you, there were people out there. It's like, oh, Trent and Frankie. We're all the photos of the leaderboard, we weren't even on them because we were T26 and it only went down to 23. I'm telling you, we made 4 birdies out there. Paige Baranek, and Kalen absolutely dusted us, but it felt like we were going shot for shot with them. They just rolled every putt in.
We can't putt.
We want
another shot at it. We want another shot.
But we can be better.
We can be. We're in the clips business, and the clips are great.
Very good.
I really think, going back to the tour thing, like, at the end of the day, if something has an audience, like, I saw some comments being like, oh, people actually watch this shit. It's like, dude, if yes, they do. And if you get enough people, it's as viable as the PGA Tour and Live Golf. Because at the end of the day, all those things want too are audiences. So the thing that makes these things matter is that people are like, oh, this matters to me and I want to watch it. That's it, dude. So if you have that, you have a tour.
Absolutely. And I think with the amount of personalities that you can get involved, the fact that you can mix in, like the Bryan Bros, who we hadn't spent a ton of time with, like Wesley and Joy, like, they're awesome and they play on the PGA Tour. Wesley Bryan won the RBC Heritage. Like, these guys are really, really good, and they kind of see this and they work this hybrid between professional golfers and the YouTube golf scene. They do it incredibly well. So I'm with you. I think there's a future there. You could make that same argument, Trent. Like, I guarantee you plenty of people turn on PGA Tour golf or Live Golf and say people actually watch your shit and turn it off. And if you look at the ratings, like, they would be pretty justified to say that, because day in and day out, it's not that interesting. It's not that entertaining, unless you're really into golf or you're really into the history or whatever, which at certain events we are. That's why we love it. But I get that it might not appeal to the masses. I think this just appealed to a lot of people, all the different people that were there and involved playing. It does take a mix of real golf, right? Like, the clips and stuff that did go out, even from you guys, from all 3 of you guys, was like when you made big putts and the crowd went nuts. Like, that kind of shit matters. People do like it. So mixing that with sort of what we do and what all these different crews do, it is about entertaining. And I think that, the people that ended up being there are there because they entertain. That's by definition what we do. And so it was really cool. Congratulations to those guys. I know they were fired up. I know we all were kind of getting similar messages of just everybody was like, thanks everybody for being a part, because this was really cool. It was positive. It was for the love of the game. People were out there just having a good time. All the fans had a great time. So it was sick. It couldn't have gone better. All right.
Yeah, man.
On to something that I maybe could have gone better, depending on how you're looking at it. The WM Phoenix Open. Look, I kind of started out by saying this, but I'm going to say it again. I think every year people panic a little bit by what they see at the Phoenix Open. You get, some folks on their high horses saying this has gone too far. The Thunderbirds finally need to do something. They need to change something. They actually did do something on Saturday. I was out there for the entire thing. First of all, they stopped letting people into the event. Second of all, they stopped selling alcohol. There were reports of 30 people had blacked out / passed out. Somebody had fallen off one of the grandstands on 16. They had like over 30 ambulance situations where they had to take people, spectators, off property in an ambulance. And they also had, which I was a part of, and I'm not surprised when they shut down the entrance, they had a massive crowding issue. And that issue came from a congestion issue, I guess. It came from something that they kind of explained in one of their posts that made a lot of sense. And again, I was stuck in a couple of these different bottleneck issues. Was that it's a stadium course, just like Sawgrass, just a lot of the TBCs. It is a stadium course. What that means is it's designed where a lot of the side hills, people hang out there. You can see from a good vantage point. They're higher than the greens, all that. It was so muddy and sloppy from all the rain and all the shit weather that people couldn't hang out in those areas. So everyone was on the actual cart paths and walking paths for the most part, which they're usually not. And it legitimately, I walked in around noon or so on Saturday. I walked in the entrance, the general admission entrance with a bunch of friends, and it took us probably about an hour to walk 50 yards from behind and to the right of the 18th green up to about even with the middle of the fairway on the 18th green. So maybe 150 yards. It took us legitimately an hour. There was a time where we were standing there and we were kind of talking amongst our group. It was so congested and you had such little control about where you could go that we were like, this is how a stampede happens. Like this is exactly how people must have felt at, I don't know if it was at Travis Scott concert or different events where you've had. It was one of those moments where it was like if people behind you started to push and that started to get momentum, your feet would get like lifted off the ground and you would just get taken by the crowd. It was that bad at the entrance. And that happened like 2 or 3 more times as we were trying to go around, which is usually the less congested part, around 18, around 17, and over by 16. And then about an hour later, I saw reports come in that they had stopped letting people, even that had tickets, into the gates. And I understand those people must have been furious. And I could imagine I would not handle that situation well. But if you were there on the grounds, they really didn't have that much more of an option. People honestly couldn't choose to move, and it was getting legitimately dangerous on property.
Yeah, I think it's a unique part of golf that of the golf viewing experience. Number one, that it's outside, right? And that people are free to roam the grounds and walk on the actual golf course. It's not like you compare. Waste Management is now in a tier of these events like Kentucky Derby, like Indy 500, where people go not necessarily because they really care about watching the golf, but because it's sort of a cultural event. And in Scottsdale, it's a huge thing. It's one of the big. It's like a festival. It's basically a festival.
Yeah.
But it's a festival where you can walk on muddy ground if it's raining, and you can get right next to the players. And there's an expectation of silence while it's going on. So if you think about the Indy 500, the guys are in cars and people are in stands. So a bunch of people making noise and being drunk and rowdy, not really going to impact the performance of the drivers. Horses don't speak English, so what you say to a horse doesn't really matter. Golf is a little bit different in that way, in that, a drunk person, and the vast majority of people there are inbounds. But because of the way that golf is laid out, the golf watching experience, a few bad outliers can have a big impact. Do I think the Waste Management's in trouble? Absolutely not. It's bigger now than it ever was. Obviously, the crowds were bigger and the alcohol sales are bigger this year compared to last year, and there weren't nearly as many top players. So I don't think it really matters who's playing in the event that much, which is a good thing, because I do think, from what I'm, kind of gathering, I think some top guys will skip this event more going forward, especially if it's not a designated event and it's sandwiched between 2 designated events. If you're a PGA Tour pro who you are good enough to have the luxury of picking and choosing where you're going to play and not just, there's a tournament, I'm in it, I'm going to play this, I think more guys are going to skip it because they just don't want to deal with that. Whereas a guy who's just fighting for status, they're going to play no matter what. And there will still be guys like a Joel Damon and I think Justin Thomas, who love the noise. But I think some of these guys who have been doing this for a while, who don't need to play every week, it's gotten to a point now where it's like, I just let them have their fun. This is an event that doesn't really need star participation in order to draw a crowd. So I think more guys will skip it moving forward.
Yeah, you're a product of the results. We just talked about that with the decision in overtime about the coaches, where it's like you can nitpick all these things, but however it ended up is what the result is, and that's what you ultimately end up, talking about. And with this Waste Management this year, unfortunately for them, like this result was just an absolute shit show. Like the videos and the takeaways of it are all negative. Like unfortunately, it was a bad one. Like they can't handle the rain. They can't affect the weather, and it became an absolute nightmare. That's just how the cookie crumbles. They got a bad coin toss this year. It's always been a great event. It's always been a shit show. This year was an absolute madness. I mean, even on just like Wednesday when it was raining, it was just chaos, like just rain, hail on like Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever that was. It was just like, what are we even talking about? The parking situation, you're like 17 miles away from the golf course. They just drop you off and they're like, just find a tent. Just look for the tent in the air. Like if you see one little peak of a tent, walk towards it. There was no way of them knowing that it was going to rain that way. Every single parking lot was filled. People's cars were getting stuck. They're pushing them. It was like Lord of the Flies. And that's just, yeah, I mean, it's a shit show. It turns into like a little bit of a fire fest, you know? It does. It's like they can't handle the rain in Scottsdale.
The rain was really bad. I mean, we spent a lot of our time in the tent. By the way, shout out to everybody who came by, bought Barstool golf stuff in the tent. The merch looked crazy. It was great meeting everybody who came out. At one point,
sold out, by the way.
Sold out, by the way. Thanks to everybody who bought. I mean, you could hear the rain from inside the tent, and obviously people get inside the tent when it's raining. It sounded like a hurricane outside, and Arizona just cannot handle the rain. Like, even a little bit of rain, I feel like would have been a problem, and this was monsoons day after day, and that's, like you're saying, it's going to be a fucking shit show. So,
dude, the people trying to get into the merch tent, it was like I felt like it was like World War Z or something. They were like banging on the walls to try and get in. And the people are just like, you can't come in here. The people that are shopping are just shopping. I mean, at one point, Nate Bargatze was just walking through the merchandise tent with his golf bag and driver. He's like, I just had to get out of the rain. He's like, I don't want to walk out there anymore. So I'm standing in here and I have a driver in my hand, and he had his like Barstool golf cleats on. And I was like, all right. He's like, I don't think I'm going back out there to finish the round. Like, this is insane.
It's
so,
also,
yeah, it sucks. But outdoor events, it's going to happen.
When you get that many people too in a place that can't handle the rain that well, like if you've got 30, 25, 30,000 people at an event, like a typical golf tournament does, and it rains, you can sort of within your protocols usher them around and sort of like get through it. When you've got 300,000 people at an event on like Saturday and it's still sloppy and messy and it's been raining all week, there really is just no way to kind of control it, and they couldn't control it like they can't control it typically. They really couldn't control it this time, and it was chaos. All the videos of people wiping out in the mud, couldn't get up. Their combination of absolutely shit-faced and wet and slopey, and it was just complete chaos. And then, of course, that all spilled over into some of the players. The Zach Johnson one went the most viral, I would say. And look, I was as hard on anybody about Zach Johnson and his captaincy with the U.S. Ryder Cup team. I just don't think that he was the guy. I also don't in any way think he's in the wrong if he snaps back at people snapping at him all day. That's completely fine by me in that moment where, like Dan said, if somebody's 5 feet away from you and they're just yapping, and it's something like the Ryder Cup, you were the captain of it. He put 2 years of his life into that. I'm sure he was emotional throughout that entire week trying to get through it, do the best for his country. And people are just fucking ripping you for that nonstop, and they're drunk and being annoying. Just like we say, everybody who buys a ticket has a right to kind of be a fan and yell if you'd like to. Well, I also think Zach Johnson, it wasn't like he took his club and knocked somebody's fucking eyeballs out. He turned around and basically said, like, fuck you too. Stop yelling this shit at me. It's annoying me. I have no issue with that. I have no issue with Billy Horschel. I understand that the clips go out, and it makes those guys in that moment, when it's just taking a 5-second clip out of what's been going all day, look like complete assholes sometimes. But I don't in any way mind anybody yelling at the players, and I don't mind the fucking players yelling back. I think it gives it some fire, and I think anybody, when you're getting bitched at, might bitch back. That's fine.
They only yelled when the guy's like, I mean, I didn't see the Zach Johnson thing, but in the Billy Horschel clip, you can hear the guy who Billy's playing with, a Monday qualifier, who this was his first PGA Tour event he's ever played in, and the guys are fucking making noise while he's over the ball. Like, it's not like they go crazy in the stadium, when you get booed after you miss the green on 16. Like, guys smile for that. It was only kind of when it crossed the line. But look, we've seen in the NBA, right? Got fans who are sitting courtside who might be a little bit drunk. They get into it with players at a golf tournament. Every person can go sit courtside. You just go find the right hole, and you are sitting there right next to the player, and you're within earshot of them.
Leave my guy Zach Johnson alone. He made some mistakes. All right, he made some mistakes in the Ryder Cup. He wouldn't deny that. I won't deny it either. I just listen, and people are free to criticize people who they don't think did a good job. I just wish it were in the American spirit, where it's like, let's just look forward to Bethpage. The past is the past. Let's get together and let's win at Bethpage. I just wish they would just leave him alone. He clearly got annoyed. At one point, he was like, "Oh, don't sir me," which is a very Zach Johnson thing to say. But it's like, it's just like, leave the guy alone. He made mistakes. He didn't go out there trying to lose the Ryder Cup. I mean, the matchups were crazy. He wasn't the greatest Ryder Cup captain.
He made Jordan
Let's all
Spieth
come
hit it in
together.
the water on the 16th hole. He
made
told
Jordan.
him, no,
Yeah, maybe the players should play a little bit better in the Ryder Cup. We got to just move forward, leave them alone, come together, and beat. Team Europe's loving this, by the way. They're like, oh, these guys are ripping each other apart, these Americans. We can't have that. We just got to support each other.
What's going to happen at Bethpage? What's going to happen at Bethpage? Because I think this was a little bit of a
hopefully
preview.
It doesn't rain. Hopefully it doesn't rain. First of all. Fuck me.
If it rains at Bethpage, someone might pass away. I mean, things are going to get crazy.
Yeah.
Bethpage gets really muddy also. I mean, there's really no crosswalks at all. It's just all grass on the sides, right? It's not built for that.
There's that one road like after the third hole, and then other than that, you're in the park.
That's it. You're in the park. So, I mean, to go back to the players not being able to take it, like, it's really hard. I think we're the last people, our like media side of things, we see a lot of people scream things at us, not to the level of a guy playing at the Waste Management, but like sometimes it is where like people just will scream stuff at you. And I always say, like, if me and Trent are walking through the Waste Management, a lot of people recognize us. We're a golf podcast. We have, they ordered 5 times the amount of merch than they did last year, and it's sold out again. We're like the number one selling merchandise in the fucking event. So when people see us, they're like, they want to say something, whatever. And I always think to myself, if you shake 1,000 hands and take photos, and then 2 guys tell you like that you're a fucking asshole right to your face, and you say, go fuck yourself, and that gets on video, you're an asshole. You know what I mean? Like that one interaction is all of a sudden who you are, and that's exactly how people will point and pin you, and then you're just done forever. Like, oh my God, Frankie can't handle the fucking fans. Well, no, actually, we were out there for fucking 9 hours shaking hands, saying hi, what are you doing? What's your name? What do you do for work? Oh, thanks for buying a shirt. But the one guy that's like, Frankie, you're a piece of shit. I fucking hate listening to you. You don't deserve this fucking job. And I'm like, fuck you. So you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that happened, but I'm just saying, like,
it did not happen. Dude, but I know what you're saying.
When we were at the Good event, there was what, like 2,500 people there.
If that did happen,
we heard some things when we were on the greens.
Video at us real quick. If that did happen,
no, I know some people will jerk off to that, but like when we were like, I remember standing over a putt on one of the holes, and someone's just like, this guy fucking blows at golf. And you're like, you just hear that, right? So you're just like, oh, that's like kind of whatever. It just is what it is. You're not going to have 1 million fans out there. People are going to not like you, and you're going to have assholes that are willing to just publicly say that. Who are those people? I have no idea. What kind of person do you have to be to publicly shit on someone where like your peers and the people around you clearly know you just did that? Like I just look at them and be like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, you're an asshole. Like, what? What are you talking about? Who says that? What normal person does that?
A couple of times we also got like, man, the girls, they're kicking the shit out of you. It's like, Paige and Kaylin are incredible golfers. Like, they seem to assume that like the gender thing, it's like these guys should be killing them. It's like, do you understand how much better Paige and Kaylin are at golf than us?
I said that to one guy. One guy's like, Frankie, you're losing a Paige? I was like, say that back to yourself. It's Paige Brand.
Yeah.
She's like a professional golfer.
So good.
Like, yeah. And also, like, when have we ever said that we were going to win anything? You know what I mean? Just because I'm out here doesn't mean that I'm going to win it. There's like 1,000 golfers out here.
It would have been hilarious if we came in last. That would have been the funniest scenario, I think. But we didn't. We got in 27th.
So, yeah, it's hard. It's like, it makes you look like a fucking douchebag. But, like, man, I can't even. You're not a normal human if you can't understand why someone like Zach Johnson or Billy Horschel would snap. Like, put yourself in their shoes and just try and eat all that. Doesn't matter how much money they're playing for. It doesn't matter that they're there for any other reason. It's just human nature to just react. It is. Do
you guys also think that the Waste Management, there's a few other events like this just in sports where it's an event trying to live up to the event? where like
if you're there, you're in a certain mindset.
Right. Everybody goes there. Like you hear about the waste management and it's this crazy shit show, bachelor party, bachelorette parties. And so when you're there, if you buy a ticket and you and your boys decide to go, you kind of feel like, oh, we're at the waste management. I think an event trying to live up to an event sometimes gets into sketchy
It's like
territory.
you're not going to a Vegas bachelor party and having a couple beers at night.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're going there
You're
knowing what you're getting yourself into.
Thing.
Yeah.
And we love this guy. There's no disrespect at all, but it's like Dana Beers has gone to this thing 3 years in a row. There's a reason why he like flies in and gets the tall drink with the thing. It's like that's what you're living up to a all-time drinking day. That It has nothing to do with. You made a great point before, Dan. Like, you think Dana Beers cares if it's Nick Taylor hitting the shot or Scotty Scheffler? He's like, I want to drink these beers and have the best time ever and make an amazing video that's probably going to go on BarstoolSports.com. That's all I care about.
And you
having
probably
a good time today.
You want to make the people around you laugh, and that's why people are yelling shit at these players, right? And they see Zach Johnson, and the first thing that comes to this guy that kind of pays attention to golf's mind is like, that guy was the Ryder Cup captain. We lost. Fuck you. And then couple of your buddies laugh, and then that happens to Zach Johnson for fucking 4 days straight, and he loses his mind. So I completely get that, and you guys are right. It's like everyone there. It's a when you live there, dude. Every morning from 7 a.m. on, people are like, "Hey, where are you pre-gaming? Are you drinking yet? We're out here." You're like, dude, it's
a bachelor
Thursday.
party.
Yeah, like people have been drinking this hard nonstop. It is a bachelor party. It's a golf trip that some people go on where it's like you start the day with double transfusions at 7:30, your tea time's at 8:30. You're like, what are we doing? But you're not going to say no because everybody else is doing it. You multiply that by a couple 100,000 people and it's fucking chaos. So
you just place importance on it. Like when you're hanging out with your buddies, if I hang out with my 5 friends and we just go out for a weekend or go out on a night at a bar, it's way different than when I'm with those 5 friends and it's just got the blanketed, like a title of a bachelor party. Everything's different. The thoughts are different. The mindset is different. Like your energy is like, nah, you're screaming. Meanwhile, you're with the same people doing the same stuff. That's exactly what the waste management is. It's like, we're at the waste management. I'm going to stick my head in the fucking mud and I'm going to go viral on fucking Barstool. Like that's like what they want to do.
Cars.com, ladies and gentlemen, is a leading digital marketplace that connects car shoppers with their perfect car. They're celebrating 25 years of helping shoppers research, find inventory, finance, and sell cars. Cars are extremely important. You just need them. You need to be safe. You need to be cool. You need them to work. You need to fit your personality, your style. It's a huge purchase. It's an incredibly important purchase, not just for you, but for your family, for everybody that's going to be driving around in that thing. You want a car and you want to take it very seriously.
Yeah, I feel like it's crazy because I feel like sometimes people gloss over the car purchasing importance. Like they're like, I need a car. I'm just going to get a lease. I'm going to find whatever I can get. And then that is what it is. Like, let's actually pay attention to this. Over this weekend, there was massive amounts of conversation about who was going to drive to the restaurant because like someone had to be the DD, and then like who was going to take the car and could they fit enough people? And then the conversation is like your lifestyle doesn't like call for that kind of car. You need a bigger car. You're gonna have kids. It's like there's a lot of things that come into play when purchasing a car. Go to cars.com, click all the little filters. How many seats do you want? What kind of trim do you want? What year are you looking at? What color are you looking at? All these things come into play. You're growing up. You're becoming a grown ass person. Figure it out. Make a right decision. It's a massive purchase.
Up to 50,000 cars are added daily to cars.com, so you can shop over 2 million cars for 2 million possibilities. Find your next possibility on cars.com. Where to next?
I thought that Dave's take was hilarious, though, and very accurate. So he tweeted the Billy video and said, basically, I can't take golfers serious when they say golf shot instead of just saying shot.
Yeah.
And this is such a thing that when you spend as much time around golf as I have the last, by the way, this is going to be my 7th fucking year covering the Riviera event, which is just,
wow.
I'm an old man golf media now, so hopefully I can keep my job here. But basically, these guys say golf shot or golf course or golf hole when you could just say hole. You could say, oh, it's a great hole. When you say it's a great golf hole, it's almost like a little bit of a gatekeeper. It's like, oh, we're saying golf hole because, it's hard to explain. But when Billy Horschel says, the guy's trying to hit a golf shot here, it's like, you could just say he's trying to hit a shot and it does the same thing and sounds 20% less douchey.
Well, and I mean, we have a lot of love for Billy. He's one of our guys. We play him in a scramble. he's the perfect guy for this, for a video like that, where people are talking and another guy's backswing, and if somebody's going to go out of somebody in the crowd, it's fucking Billy Horschel, man, and he's going to say golf shot.
For me, like, I think everybody does that in every sport. I think everybody that watches like the most football and wants you to think they watch the most football has like the terminology, and they're sitting there going, they're the first guy when you're watching the Super Bowl that's like, oh, he moved. This is going to be offsides. This is going to be offsides. Like, they're doing that the whole fucking time. And I think people just do that.
Great play design.
Right. It's like there was holding in the backfield. It's coming back. It's coming back. It's coming back. You're like,
that flag's in the backfield. That's a holding call. That's a holding call.
Yeah. You're like, you fucking played Madden for 7 years. So, okay, great. And I just think there is a tendency to do that with every single sport. I don't know why we all just say golf shot instead of like shot. That wasn't great. But it is just when you're around, that's what you do. When you're on the tee box and somebody hits a good one, you don't really sit there and enunciate and go, that was a great golf shot. You're just like, golf shot. And you just kind of move on. So I could see how that would piss people off that don't watch golf a lot. And Billy Horschel is just absolutely the perfect guy for all that. And honestly, so is Zach Johnson. Like, he's never been the greatest person with just communicating publicly. And Billy Ho has never been the calmest dude in the world. So you get the two of them out there. They were the perfect guys to kind of snap. I think the Phoenix Open is going to be completely fine. It's going to be a goddamn shit show every year. They're going to make millions of dollars for charity. It's going to be fine.
Yep.
365 days from now, we're going to do the exact same podcast. Hopefully with less rain, but we're going to have the exact same podcast. It's just,
that's right.
I'm glad
that it is. It's fun.
Dude, I'm glad that it's part of the golf world because we get to talk about it every year. It's every other event. It's like, oh yeah, no, a guy shot 19 under and almost went to a playoff, and it was, pretty good. And the Waste
Nick Taylor has a huge dong.
Huge dong, huge balls.
What is with this guy?
Real quick about putts? Charlie. Sorry, so on Wednesday, when we were at the golf course, right, instead of course, we saw Charley Hoffman.
Perfect.
We saw Charley Hoffman.
Last night, we were at the football arena instead of just like, we were
last
just
night I was watching the National Football League. That's
at the stadium.
But like baseball players baseball players say ballpark, or baseball fans say ballpark, and they love to call it the ballpark.
Love it.
So we saw Charley Hoffman, and he said hi to us. It was me, Francis. I think Trent was up there with us. Were you?
I don't know. I don't think I talked to Charley Hoffman last week.
Okay, I know I was standing next to Francis. Maybe Brendan Jones was up there, and Charlie was like, "Hey, what's up, boys?" And I was like, "Hey, what's up?" And I go to dap him up, and he was like, "I don't want to touch you." He's like, "I don't feel good. Like I'm not feeling well. Like it's going right through me." And I was like, Jesus, like Charley Hoffman, like why is he even here? Fucking guy, almost won the goddamn thing. When I saw him up on the leaderboard, and then obviously going to I couldn't believe it. Like that guy overcame not only not feeling well, probably in the whole practice rounds. I mean, all of this, everyone's getting the flu, the cold, everything's going around like crazy. Everyone's coughing. Everyone's got a fever. It's insane to be able to do that with how fucking cold it was in Scottsdale. Like it's one thing to be out there in the rain and the cold and you feel kind of healthy. You still feel like shit. To feel like shit on top of that and play golf at the highest level is pretty incredible. So shout out to Charley Hoffman. Dealing with stuff that fans don't realize. Like you're a human. You're going to get sick. You're not going to feel well. You're going to get bad sleep.
Charley Hoffman, 47 years old, right? Doesn't know if he's going to get another chance at this. That guy has such an aspirational golf swing. I don't know that there's anybody who makes it look as simple as Charley Hoffman. Like we've all seen it, Thursday the Masters, he doesn't miss for an hour and a half straight. Yep. It looks like he takes it back waist high. He finishes waist through and just hits these like little 2-yard cuts. That's a professional golfer with a leathery back neck who has played 350 million PGA Tour events and just flushes.
Dude, he looks like his driver when he swings it. It looks like his driver's going as far as my driver. It looks like he's hitting it like 240 yards the way he's swinging. And the one on 18, that same little swing, like you said, it looks like nothing. He's not even swinging the fucking golf club. He had 180 ball speed he had on that 72nd hole in regulation and went like 330. I was like, are you fucking kidding me that swing produces that? But it does. I loved Kisner on the broadcast. He was getting a ton of love. Him and Smiley together have great rapport, great chemistry. And Kiz, while being the Kiz that we all know and love, and he's funny and he's witty and he sort of doesn't give a flying fuck, which allows him to be free up there. He also just knows a ton about golf and golf swings, and him going in depth. Charley Hoffman's one of his good buddies out there. Him going in depth about Charley Hoffman's grip and about his swing and about why the club never really turns over at impact, how he found out that, they needed to change his grip about 20%, make it stronger as it got too weak. And you're watching all that play out in real time, and he's stepping up, just hitting shots dead straight. I thought that was really, really fun to watch. I don't know how that guy didn't win the golf tournament. It was over. It was fucking over. I'm like it was a little bit tricky to follow because they did the same groupings at the end of the third round as they did at the end of the fourth. So I kept thinking, like, okay, Charley Hoffman and everybody else has pretty much the same holes to play, and he's 3 shots ahead now. Nobody's even that close. And the next thing you know, it's like he's in the clubhouse, got a 3-shot lead. And then this guy, Nick Taylor, that guy doesn't miss. He just made a million birdies in a row to finish it out. For him to make that 12-footer or whatever it was on the 72nd hole right there, with one thing that's cool about the Phoenix Open is like all those people obviously congregate kind of to the end, and they do that at most tournaments. But this one, when it's that many people, it looked like he had won the fucking U.S. Open at like Bethpage when he made that putt. The crowd and the angles from like the kind of like ground level on the green looking back up were so sick. And then those guys go into playoff and he goes birdie. But I just like that takes stones. The fact that he did the same goddamn thing when he won the Canadian, it was just insane. So what a cool finish. It was tough because they went again for, I think, how many times in the last fucking 7 years has this thing gone to a playoff? Like 4 of the last 6 or 7 or something. This thing goes to a playoff, and they try to time it, and they didn't have much of a choice this year with all the delays, but they try to time it so it finishes right before the Super Bowl, and you're midway through the second quarter of the Super Bowl, and you've got a really cool playoff on the PGA Tour. So that's a little bit of a tough break, but this guy's insane that he just makes all those putts. And then the other thing I want to say on Charley Hoffman, some guy DM'd me or tagged me in a tweet or something yesterday. He was like, once every year around this time, I think about when Charley Hoffman put up that whole story about the Saudis and randomly tagged Riggs Barstool. And I was like, I
forgot about that.
Forgot about that too. But yeah, we like Charley Hoffman. Charley Hoffman's a good dude.
That was a couple years ago at this tournament. He was complaining about like a drop that he didn't get. The people who stuck around, like you said, the crowd, those are the people who love golf, right? Because like the people who are drinking, they're long gone. They're going to watch Super Bowl. So there were a ton of people there who were there for the golf. And another thing, Nick Taylor, Frankie, talking a little personal anecdotes. I went to a little Taco Tuesday action at Joel Damon's house on Tuesday night, and Nick Taylor was there. And I was like, what happened? He's like, hey, I played like shit last week at Pebble, but I'm feeling a little bit better about this week. I'm home. So hopefully it'll be a good week. Wins a tournament. So Nick Taylor is a total beauty.
I love that. One of the days we were hanging out by the green, I think it might have been the same day that you talked to Charley Hoffman, Frankie, Shane Lowry walked by us and called us the Barstool Mafia, which I liked. He goes, Barstool, he goes, the Barstool Mafia is here.
There were like 7 of us on the green.
That's the thing. I forget because we don't go to that many tournaments. Like we go to majors and then we'll go to the Waste Management. We are a force when we stand on the putting green because it's like us and then Alex is there, Jared's there, Brendan's there. Yeah, and Shane Lowry just goes, oh, the Barstool Mafia is here. We got to do more with Shane Lowry because he had a little smirk. He was like, I got a little smirk, and I want to do way more with that guy. He's great.
You know what else is a good nickname that I'm not going to give myself a nickname, but I just learned this yesterday. Oh, boy. Patrick Mahomes' child is Patrick Mahomes III, but they call him Bronze because it's like gold, silver, and bronze. So they call him like Bronzy.
Damn.
Bronze Borrelli would be like, if that was like something that people would have figured out when I was younger, would be all time.
What about Trey?
Trey? Never got Trey. No, it's just been Frank or Frankie. But like being the third and being known as Bronze is fucking outrageous.
That's cool.
Now, I'm not Mahomes. Cool.
No.
But like if I was like a bigger Italian looking guy and you called me Bronzo Borrelli or something like that, like come on, dude.
Your whole life would be different.
Oh, I would have gained more weight. I would have been different. I would have been wearing chains and shit.
Yeah.
It's almost a funnier name that you're like pale. It's almost like Bronzy and you're just this pale Italian dude that comes out.
I know, exactly.
So for the record, you're not giving yourself a nickname, but if people kind of want to, start calling you Bronze.
If you call me Bronze or any variation of Bronze, if you call me any variation of Bronze, I'll respond. I'll look. You know what I mean? I'll try to.
It could pick up.
Isn't that good though? Because I saw
really good.
Rowan tweeted out like is Patty Mahomes' son kids called Bronze and Silver? That's metal because he's like the best like lyricist of all time. And I asked around when we were watching the Super Bowl, I'm like, is this kid's name actually Bronze? Because that's like an asshole name. They're like, no, it's Pat Mahomes III, but they call him Bronze. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me! This guy really can't stop winning. That's so cool. That is really so cool.
Damn, that is fuck.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Dustin Johnson, I saw one on the Live Tour over in Las Vegas. I didn't catch much of it. I know the week before there was some hype. John Rahm, we were talking about watching the final round down in Mexico, and there were some big names up there. This one I feel like got pretty swallowed by the Phoenix Open, by Super Bowl week, everything that was going on. So I didn't really see much of it, but DJ won on the Live Tour, so I still don't know what that means now. I mean, I know he gets $4 million, but where to stack that up? How well is he playing? Who the hell knows? But maybe it's something to put away in your tickler file going into the Masters tournament or something of that nature. Otherwise, I think we went through the whole deal, the whole gamut here.
I've got a big announcement.
Okay,
Let's hear it.
So I've been teasing this Barstool Pickleball Tour, and we're ready to rock. We are ready to open up registration. So if you've made it this long into the show and you are a fan of pickleball, if you are a pickler, if you're a man that likes to stand outside the kitchen and dink your way to victories, I've got some big news for you guys. So listen up. I've been very excited about this. We've been working on it very hard. We've got it. It's 6 events across this great nation, but we're going to only go as far west as
West.
Sorry,
Chicago.
west as Chicago. So
international.
So
baby.
here,
this thing. Can't name a city we're not coming to.
This Thursday, the 15th at noon Eastern, will be registration. We'll talk about it all week on social. You'll see us tweeting about it, Instagramming about it. We'll be making videos. Barstool Pickleball Open is coming Thursday, the 15th of this month at noon Eastern, February 15th. So make sure right now, as you're listening to this, text your buddies. Make sure you put it in your calendar. Say, oh my God, the Barstool Pickleball Open is coming. We have to get in. Last year, we did one event at Long Island. At the Long Island, it was called Pickle and Par.
Yep.
It sold out in 13 seconds. 120 spots went like that. It broke the website. The website's going to be barstool-pickleball.com. Maybe Live Events Lisa couldn't get the barstoolpickleball.com. We needed to throw that dash in there. I think if you type in Barstool Pickleball, it just comes up as one of the top websites. Go check out the website right now. Again, a reminder, Jacksonville, March 12th. That's going to be at the Yards. That's the week of the players. We're going to be doing that right before we do a golf event, which also sold out. Thank you to everyone. We'll be seeing you at the Sawgrass Shootout. But that is going to be our kickoff event. Jacksonville, Florida, March 12th, the week of the Masters on the property of TPC Sawgrass.
Then we go to Chicago. Yeah.
Yep. Then we go to Chicago, Illinois, Saturday, June 1st at Pickle House, but it's spelled like the German way, Haus.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Pickle
you like
House.
that?
Yeah, we could do make it into a beer garden, BIER.
Yep.
Have a good
Correct. So we've got that.
I
To
don't like the
Chicago,
Germans.
Illinois, New England. Yeah. Okay. Well, New England. You have every right for that. New England.
I
We're going
agree with that.
July 27th. This is actually, so we called it the Boston stop, but it's actually the New Hampshire stop. But I think it's only like 30 or 40 minutes. I'm not really great with Boston geography.
It's a New England stop. New England.
Pickleball 603 is the place we're going to. These are all premier, incredible locations. We made sure that we picked the best ones. We're going to Washington, D.C., August 17th at Kraken Courts. That's right in Washington, D.C. That's going to be Saturday, August 17th. Stamford, Connecticut. This is like the cream of the crop. I mean, we love all the locations, but this place, Pickleball America, October 5th, Connecticut, Stamford. It's going to be massive. I don't know how many spots that we have open for that one, but I mean, that place has like 2 levels of pickleball courts with a championship court in the middle with like stadium seating. It's got like
Sick.
live replays and everything. Pickleball America is going to be unbelievable. And then we're finishing it up October 19th, Long Island, New York, at Pickle and Par again in Smithtown, Long Island. So yes, barstoolpickleball.com. Make sure you go there. Thursday, February 15th, noon Eastern. All of these registrations are going to open at once. Just like the Barstool Classic, you're going to go to this website. You're going to get ready. Click on the website. Click on what you need to know. All the details. It's going to say you need like your playing partner, your partner. You're going to need to make sure that you have your email ready. Like all that stuff needs to be done. Register. We've got doubles, men's, mixed doubles, and we've got women's divisions for all of these events. We have all the different variations of 3.0, 3.5, 4.0, 4.5. Once you register, you'll see there's different ways that you can get in. So make sure that you're ready for it. That's all I got. The Barstool Pickleball Open. Let's sell this thing out. Let's really show people what pickleball is all about. You know, it's like a fight for your right type of thing. Like it's huge, but like you got to show people that it's huge.
Travis Kelce
Kudos
style.
to Frankie. I know it's a amazing undertaking trying to get all this done. You got to get everybody at Barstool on the same page, from the events to the sponsors to finance, logistics, content people, the whole deal. So it's not easy. And like you said, you can't really sit here and say, "Oh yeah, the pickleball on the map," and it's so, unless it just fucking delivers and sells out and goes crazy, which it will. We all know how popular pickleball is. Our guy Larry Fitz shows up with like 7 rackets, buys a team, owns a team. There's teams all over the place. So yeah, people make sure they're ready for that. We'll plug it again when we do Thursday's show. But that's noon the 15th on Thursday.
Correct.
Going live. All right. Thank you everybody for listening. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Shout out to DraftKings especially, and a big new deal here at Barstool Sports. We'll be back Thursday. Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Hit hard.
Hit it hard. #DK partner.